Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I do apologize. To the good gentleman, the minority whip, that referred to his conservative friends, I have no doubt about my conservative imprimatur or the conservative nature of the agenda that we've been pursuing. But it is a people's agenda. And let me make clear, with respect to this particular bill, our good friends from the other side would like to have it both ways. On the one hand, it's not high of enough tax, and on the other hand, they want to put fear in that we're somehow taxing individuals and we have to worry about where we stand. We are about principled policy direction. To the extent anybody's fearful in an election about punitive taxes on the people of Pennsylvania, I would like to point out, in a bill that never became law, this body, under the leadership of our colleagues, with 104 to 99 majority, would have instituted a severance tax that amounted nearly 10%, which would have been the highest in the nation. And this would have made the natural gas industry the highest tax in the nation when combined with all the other taxes under Pennsylvania's tax structure. Our concern, on the other hand, has been single-minded. It's been completely single-minded. It's been about jobs, 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 private sector job creation, and it's been about doing the best in providing balance with safety of our citizens and environment. It's that simple. We are about growing Pennsylvania's economy through the private sector. And if you vote against this, rest assured, you are against private sector job creation. And secondly, it is balanced by safety with respect to citizens and the environment. And here's the difference between our good colleagues on the other side when they were in charge versus what we are pursuing here today. We will get legislation to the governor's desk that meets our objectives. Because in the end, what this side of this grand hall in the General Assembly has been about is about getting things done. It's been about governing. It's been about taking care of the concerns of the citizens of Pennsylvania. And their number one concern is economic activity in the private sector, and that means private sector job creation. Now, let me be very specific. For those of us who are supposedly shills of big corporations, corporations, big and small, employ people. They allow people to have good communities and good schools. And they like them to have that not in just a single part of the state, but throughout the four corners of the great state of Pennsylvania. And you know what? Job creators, you know what they're looking for? They're looking for predictability and certainty. They are looking for a willingness to pay their fair share, particularly with respect to the impacts that they may cause. And they are looking to make sure that they provide a good service and a good product for the consumers, of which we are all part. This particular growth in natural gas has injected over $10.5 billion annually into our economy. Counting indirect and induced spending, this number climbs to $20.5 billion. And we are today, yes, as one component part, assessing an impact fee for those parts of the state that want to do it. Because under this proposal, there is nothing mandatory. It is enabling legislation with respect to the counties that have the business opportunities and the impacts in their counties and their communities. And we are enabling them to be able to use those dollars for needed services in response to those impacts. Almost 25,000 have been employed in core industries, a 179% increase since the first quarter of 2006, and 193,000 employed in ancillary industries. And there have been almost 100,000 new hires from the fourth quarter of 2009 through the second quarter of 2011. Do you know what the wages are from the people that have opportunities to be employed in this area? The average salary of a core industry job is $73,000. And an average salary of an ancillary industry job has been over $60,000. In Allegheny County, where I'm from, I've talked to architects, I've talked to contractors, I've talked to educators in the technical trades, I've talked to individuals that are creating pipe, installing pipe, transporting water, cleaning water as engineers. And you know what? They are all dependent on the opportunities coming from this development of natural gas. And guess what? All of you from every corner of Pennsylvania, each and every one of you use energy. Every one of you uses energy. And you use a lot of natural gas. And there's a good reason why a lot of people want to use natural gas. It is low in cost, and it is cleaner than so many other energy sources. Manufacturers, folks, have decided to stay in Pennsylvania. Look at the large manufacturing facility up in the Northeast, because when they're looking at their bottom line, which they must do in a competitive market economy, decided to stay in Pennsylvania because their natural gas costs are low and reasonable and cleaner than other sources. I am not going to engage in a class warfare language like so many on the other side, because I'm for all people having private sector job opportunities with good family sustaining jobs where they can have wonderful family lives and good schools, good churches, good communities, good parks. I want them to have those lives. And in addition, I want consumers to be able to enjoy the benefits of a capital economy and being able to get natural gas into their homes so that they can take a warm towel out of a dryer, or they can take a hot bath, or they can cook something on the stove. It's so easy to forget what it is like in everyday life and how what we do here today impacts that everyday life. I suspect that if your legislation would have become law with the highest tax in the land, much of those opportunities would have left. Thank goodness you weren't able to succeed. And thank goodness we can put together today an alternative plan that we believe will be on the governor's desk that actually allows us to provide for impacts to the economy, but allows the industry to flourish. Now let me talk about the part that addresses our environment. The packages that were discussed in the previous session under their control never dealt with regulatory improvements. Not one piece of legislation was ever moved in the past administration or with the other side in control of this chamber that dealt with increased environmental protection. Here, we specifically help by increasing setbacks throughout the state, holding drillers responsible. We require operators to provide notice to property owners within 2,500 feet of the proposed well, as well as the host municipality or any municipality within 2,500 feet of the proposed well. We increase setback distances between a private water well and an unconventional natural gas well up to 500 feet, to streams, ponds, and other bodies up to 300 feet. We restrict well drilling from within at least 1,000 feet of a public water supply. We prohibit well sites in a floodplain if the site contains storage of hazardous materials, chemicals, or cuttings. We require well operators to install security fencing and warning signs, to ensure lighting at the site to be directed to minimize glare, to comply with Federal Energy Regulatory Commission noise regulations, to prohibit noise standards for natural gas compressor stations, to comply with laws governing air quality, and to require 24-hour notice to DEP before commencing certain critical activities. If accidents occur, our proposal holds drillers accountable by increasing civil penalties currently in the Oil and Gas Act, by requiring DEP to post well inspection reports, and to allow DEP the authority to revoke a well permit for noncompliance with applicable state laws. In fact, we even added a provision that the good gentleman from Delaware County offered that would require us to take a look at emissions and get annual reports and to provide protocols. And not only that, we want to make sure that natural gas has other economic opportunities. We've added provisions that create clean transit programs and Keystone transit programs so that more of our vehicles might use natural gas, which is both cleaner than other fuels and less expensive. And do not tell me that we are not helping statewide environmental concerns, because this is a global package designed to look at citizens from every aspect of their life. Money goes from the Oil and Gas Lease Fund for county conservation districts, which provide local support and conservation oversight, the Environmental Stewardship Fund, which funds watershed improvements, acid mine drainage remediation, farmland preservation, and open space preservation. And it actually provides more money for the Hazardous Site Cleanup Fund, which provides support to cleanup sites which have been contaminated through various accidents and past processes, and does it annually on an inflation-adjusted rate. This is the kind of bill that you run and you vote for when you are serious about governing. This is the kind of bill you run and you vote for when you are in touch with everyday individual lives. This is the kind of bill you run and you vote for when you want to make a difference in Pennsylvania's families. And you know what? This is the kind of bill that isn't dictated by any special interest. I've heard over and over and over again about this fear of particular pledges. We have crafted something that is fiscally responsible, that is private sector job creation, and which is environmentally responsible, safe for our citizens, and safe for our environment. Folks, this is win, win, win. When your arguments try to attack it from all different sides without any consistent policy, you're about no. Because in the end, many of the folks, although not all, but many of the folks would just like to stop the ability to have any natural gas development in this state. We are not there. We are for people. This is a people-driven piece of legislation, and it is policy that I am proud of and that each and every one of you can be proud of too. Thank you very, very much, Mr. Speaker.